Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, whiskey drinkers of all ages. This is the Mix Not Cheap Whiskey Review number 30, I believe it is. I will get it right in the title card. I never think ahead. As you can see on the bed tonight, we got Chivas Regal 15 year. And as you can also see, I paid $44.99 out the door for it. I've never drank a lot of Chivas. I have drank Chivas in the past. And at my local liquor store today, they had regular Chivas. They had Chivas 12, and they had the Chivas 15, and I believe also in the case, the lockup case, they had a Chivas 18. I believe it was. That was very expensive. Um, a lot more expensive than this anyway. This is a reasonably priced whiskey. This is another one like the Dewar's 15. That was probably in the mid 40s too. I like the Dewar's 15 very much. It was a very malty, straight up the road, good age statement whiskey. This is one of them too. You get the 15-year age statement. It says it's blended Scotch. Uh, and interestingly enough, I tried to look up whatever I could find on Chivas. Now, Chivas owns their own distillery, which is the main distillery in their blend, and that distillery is called Strathisla. Um, and when you look at it, it looks like a very classic, Scotch distillery. It doesn't look like it's huge, but obviously it must be big enough to fulfill a lot of Chivas's needs for their age-stated whiskeys. Now, obviously, they must get other barrels for their blend because this is not a blended malt whiskey. This is just blended Scotch. So they're obviously getting it not only from other distilleries, but there's also probably some unmalted, grains type scotches in the blend. But no matter what, they are all at least 15 years old. They might be older, but none of them are fewer than 15 years old. So not a bad price. Never really had the 15 before. I have had standard Chivas, a couple times in my life, whether it's at a bar or somewhere, you get a scotch, you wind up Chivas is all you can get. But with that being said, you can see the color, not bad. I know that Strathisla does a lot of different barrel types. They do bourbon, they do sherry. I believe this one might even say it is, okay, selectively finished in cognac casks. So obviously they have some cognac casks as well. Probably some port casks. That Strathisla looked like a pretty interesting little distillery. And like I said, it probably not only serves the blending market besides Chivas, but I'm pretty confident that it said it was Chivas's main barrel source for their blends. So you can check it out. It's called Strathisla. With that being said, let's get a sniff. Ooh, right off the bat, you're getting some fruit. I would imagine it's probably the cognac cask. Yeah, I guess it smells a little cognac-y, like more grapey. The fruit isn't rich like a plum or a raisin or a prune or anything like that. It doesn't really smell like apple or apricot or peach or something light. So I guess it would be the cognac. Probably has that grape, that kind of fermented grape type of scent to it. That's about all you get. I'm not getting a ton of malt. I'm not getting a ton of malt at all in the nose anyway. It's very smooth, very sweet smelling, very smooth, not a hint of ethanol on it. Very sweet. Yeah, I guess you get what you're getting on the nose is pretty much sweetness and that cognac finish on some of their barrels because it doesn't smell like a port or a sherry finish. Or I'm not saying there's none in this bottle, but you're not getting that type of finish on it. It must be that kind of strange fruit, must be the cognac barrel scent. Yeah, so sweet, fruity on the nose. Let's see what the palate has to offer. Yeah, once again, sweet, fruity. That cognac finish is different. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just different. It has very different than a sherry or a port finish or another wine cask finish. Has a very different kind of finish to it. But good. It's nice and smooth. You could sip this down all day. It ain't gonna bite you. Getting a little more malt on the, definitely more malt or grain on the taste than I did on the nose for sure. It's not hyper malty like a single malt is. So I assume there's definitely some grain whiskeys in this glass and not just malted barley, single malts. Yeah, not bad. I'm getting the malt and the grain up front. And it eases into what's got to be the cognac finish. It's smooth. It's pleasant enough. It's very fruity, is how I would describe this one. Uh, but it's not the fruit you're used to. Like if you want a sherry, if you're used to a sherry or a port finish and you like that flavor, this is not that. It's still fruity, but it's obviously the cognac or the grape, you know, the matured grape flavor that you get from cognac, which is an interesting flavor too. I like a good cognac. Um, all right, we'll wrap this one up quick. The Mad Mix Not Cheap Whiskey Review. Number 30, Chivas Regal 15, $45 bottle, 15-year age statement, obviously. I give it an 8.2. That's what I think. It's okay. I'm not a huge fan of the finish on it. It's okay. It's not bad. I think I would rather have a Chivas Regal 15 without the finish and see how that tastes, to kind of compare it to the Dewar's 15. If I had to pick one, I would pick the Dewar's 15 over this, just because it's got that more straight up malted grain flavor. You know what I mean? There's no finish to it. They're not mucking around with it. It kind of has that musty old grain flavor, barrel flavor, which I kind of like better than I like this. If this was a sherry finish, I'd probably like it a little bit more. Maybe not. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying it's probably not my favorite. You know what I mean? You get the good age statement. The whiskey itself is smooth enough. It's drinkable. It's very sweet. If you like a good sweet old whiskey, this will do the job. But I'm not sure that cognac finish is my pick. You know what I mean? I think I'd prefer either unfinished and get that nice malted or grain flavor, the malted barley or the straight up grain whiskey flavor. Or I'd rather have not even a port. I'd probably prefer a sherry if I was going to have any finish. And even that doesn't have to be a sherry bomb. Even if it's got that hint of it, that's still very enjoyable. So, an 8.2, I don't think it's bad. I think for its price point, it's very good. You can do a lot worse than this for $45. You do get the 15-year age statement, which means you're getting some seriously aged, scotch inside of this bottle. But it's not blowing me away. It's good, it's smooth, it's drinkable. I'll enjoy the bottle. But for $45, I think I'd rather have the Monkey Shoulder. I'd rather have the Dewar's 15. Or even that, what was that other one? That Old Par, I think it was, which was a 15-year-old blend. There have been other 15-year-olds somewhere in this price range that I've enjoyed a little bit better than this. Like I said, I'm not saying it's bad. If you like Chivas, you'll probably like it. If you like cognac, you'll probably like the finish on it. But for my taste, there are other $45 bottles of blended scotch or even single malts that I would rather have than this. You know what I mean? For $40, around $40, you can still get a Glenmorangie. Now it's a 12-year-old. I would much rather spend the $45 and get a Glenmorangie 12 or 10 than this. It's just a much better whiskey, much more refined whiskey. So with that being said, hey, love yourself. Always love yourself. Respect yourself. Always. Same for your family and friends. Love and respect them. And love not cheap whiskey. Take care, people.